Kicking off another episode of the Searley Talks Warriors podcast, brought to you by our sponsors, Ortex Industries. Today, I'm joined by one of our starting wingers and the club's leading try scorer so far in 2022, Dallin Watene-Zelezniak. Cheers for jumping on, bro.
No, thanks for having me, bro. It's I've seen a few of the boys and it's awesome to be on.
Unreal. I like to start with where it all began, bro. So born in NZ before moving over to Aussie. Can you tell us a bit about your upbringing and when did you first start playing rugby league?
Yes, I was born in New Zealand and lived there for 5 years in Hamilton. My grandparents, with a few other people, started up a club called College Old Boys. And I started playing there with my cousins at the age of 4. And yeah, so it's been, I'm 26, 27 in August. So it's been quite a long time I've been playing footy and still love it as much as the day I started. So when I first started, I think I was picking daisies and all that. I'm not sure. One of my brothers definitely was. But yeah, it's a lot different now.
That's unreal. And you played a fair bit of rep footy coming up through the grades. So how did you first kind of get noticed by Penrith and move into their system?
So I moved over when I was 5, and when I moved over, I played division. Over here, there's a lot of, especially in Penrith, there's a lot of people that play league. So I think I was like Division 3 or 4, and then sort of one game move up, and then So development starts in under 12s in Penrith. So yeah, I played under 12s development, and then, just went through the system, and then 13s, 14s, 15s, Harold Matthews, SG Raw, 20s, and then New South Wales Cup and NRL. That was the short sort of those are the teams that I was in to make my debut.
Yeah, man. And in 2013, you played in the under-18 State of Origin for New South Wales, smashing Queensland at Suncorp. And then from there, you were picked for both the Aussie schools and the junior Kiwis, which meant you had to pick between NZ and Oz. So how hard was that at the time, bro? And what led you towards picking NZ?
It wasn't hard at all. I think one thing I probably shouldn't have done was Aussie were a bit upset that I had gone straight to the Kiwis without consulting them and that. But the fact that I had a meeting with Steve Kearney, I can't remember who else was there. And they came to me and it was like, what are your thoughts? And I was like, fire out. I said, I was already convinced without you guys coming here. So the fact that you guys called a meeting with me, there's a no-brainer. I've always wanted to represent the Kiwis. I got a lot of heritage with the Kiwis through my great-grandfather, Steve. So that was pretty much a no-brainer. And again, I grew up in Aussie too. So I haven't I'm very grateful for Australia and what it's done for me, my family, and now my wife and kids that I have here. So Australia's blessed my life a lot. And when coming up through the grades too, sort of it's always like making Aussie was the pinnacle of school rugby. You're mixing it with the best. And that was sort of what I wanted to do, is to see if I could mix it with them. And then, that came. And then at the same time, I was playing 20s during school. And then the junior Kiwis picked me. And then I was like, oh, well, the time's come where I've got to make the decision. And and it was pretty much an easy one. All I thought of was basically it came down to I couldn't stand against the haka. Yeah. For me, I just, it wouldn't sit right with me.
No, you made the right choice, that's for sure.
Yeah, because I am Australian, because my father was born here, and Australia has blessed us so much. But at the end of the day, it's sort of like New Zealand's my roots. But like I said, I'm very grateful to Australia though.
Hard. And the following year, 2014, round 5 at just 18 years old, you made your NRL debut for the Panthers against the Raiders. 2 tries as well in your debut and the win at Penrith Stadium. So how did you find out you were going to make your debut, and what do you remember about that game, bro? Because scoring 2 tries on debut is pretty unreal.
Yeah, they were pretty much gimme tries. From my head, I was lucky enough to play outside Dean Fudde and Matt Moylan. And those two were pretty much, they were on song, and I just had to finish off what they started. So I was very lucky in that area. But yeah, I remember that I got told on April Fool's Day. It's a pretty cool story. I thought he was trying to prank me. So my girlfriend, my wife now, but my girlfriend at the time, she told me, she had hit me with the April Fool's prank in the morning, and then when I got to training, Ivan pulled me aside and then told me that, and I was like, oh, it's another G up. Like, and I said to him, I said, oh, like, are you joking because it's April Fool's? Are you serious? And then he laughed, and he was like, oh, no, I didn't even know. Like, you're actually playing?
Yeah.
And I was like, no way, what the heck? And I just acted like a few of the boys were around, and I was like, I just acted cool, and then went and rang my dad, and my dad was overseas at the time, and for work, and I rang him, and he couldn't believe it, and I was like, yeah, and he thought I was an April Foolsing him too. I think he did, I'm not sure, or something like that. He just couldn't believe it, and then he made it back for the game, and debuted on the Monday. We had a Monday night game, and I was lucky enough, like I said, to be outside Moisa and Dean Fodder, and finished off what they started. And it was crazy to score. To score one I was just like, man, what the heck? I'm actually playing in a row. And it was pouring down, raining too. Yeah. And then they actually kicked another one, but we had practiced it all week, and I was out of position.
But they had a head trick.
The boys came over and they're blowing up at me like, man, you need to be there, like you were scored. And then the next one they did, I was in position and I scored. And it was just I think Jamie South kicked that ball for me, and South was a really good attacking player and player. So I was lucky enough to finish off what they started or created.
That's unreal. And did you have like a highlight or a welcome to the NRL moment in that game where you thought, man, I'm in with the big leagues now?
Well, my brothers and I were talking during the week. We were like, man, like, who don't you want to run at? And we grew up, Joel Edwards was always a good hitter. Like, I've seen a few games of his, and he's like Liam Martin. Like, you don't think they can hit, but they can hit. And then I stepped in, and then I seen him come flying at me, and I was like, oh no, I was trying to avoid him. And then I turned my body to try and bump him off, and then he got knocked out, and I was just like, holy crap, did I just knock out Joel Edwards? And then my uncles and all that are in the stairs, heaps of them in the stairs, all cheering, and I'm feeling sorry for him getting knocked out. And I was like, holy crap. So yeah, it's a different sort of, this is NRL. The next week, so I sort of got that. But yeah, that was the next week we played Rabbitohs, and Greg Inglis and Sam Burgess were playing, and that was when I got a good welcome to first grade, mate.
Yeah, that's crazy. And later that year, you're also named in the Kiwis squad for the Four Nations, but ruled out with a foot injury. And then in 2015, also set to debut, but ruled out due to suspension. But finally, May 6th, 2016, you got your first crack for the Kiwis, Anzac Test against Australia. So can you tell us a bit about that experience, Flo, playing for the country for the first time and doing the haka? Can imagine pretty special moment for you.
Yeah, so in 2014, I played a bit of NRL. I played 10 games of NRL, a couple games of 20s, and then 5 games with Cup. And I was just hoping to make the Junior Kiwis. Yeah. And like get another, like, because I enjoyed it so much the year before. I was like, yes, can't wait to get in there. Like, surely I've played some games of NRL. Like I can get into that team. And then they called me and told me I was going with the big boys. And I was like, what the heck? Like, and I was on the phone. I was like, no way. Like, is this actually happening? And then while I was in camp, there was, I think Manu was, I thought I was just going as a development player. Like, they like to blood the young guys and gave them some experience of what like it can be if you make it. And so I went in there and thinking that, and then Manu was out the first training session, or was it the first or second training session? I thought he was just getting his body ready for the game. Yeah. And then Steve Kearney came to me and said, I'll be making my debut that weekend for the Kiwis. And I was just like, what the heck? And I think a big part of that was because I played outside Dean Fodder at Penrith, and we had a good combo going. So Dean Fodder sort of carried me in my first couple of years in NRL. And
humble.
Yes, I owe Dino a lot. I learned a lot off him, and and he's still one of my good mates. But yeah, and then Steve Kearney told me I was playing, and I was like, no way, what the heck? So I went to the toilets and I was fist pumping. I was like, yes, I'm playing. What the heck? And then I went to the beach. Straight after that session, we went to the beach for a recovery session, and those waves would just come over, and then and I went over the wave, and then when I came down, when the water went down, and I stepped on a piece of the sand, and my foot rolled and I broke my foot.
What are the odds, bro?
Yeah, I broke my foot, and they gave me till captain's run. They were like, we'll try, and then I got it scanned on captain's run, and then the lady came out, I think it was a lady, and said that no, you got a fracture in your foot, and I was like, oh, what the heck? Oh. So yeah, pretty much that was real devastating, because it was sort of would have just topped my year off. We got to a prelim final, which was crazy enough. Yeah. And then I got to make it to the Kiwis, and then let alone them telling me I'm going to play. And then I break my foot. It was pretty sad, pretty humbling. I learned a lot that from that injury though. I met a few people that sort of felt for me and sort of made me realize the position I'm in. I'm actually very lucky and those kinds of things. So I learned a lot of lessons that I've held for a long time from that injury. And then the next year, make the Anzac game. I'm like, yes, sure, I can play this game. And then I'm in this the week before I did a tackle, and it was a penalty. It was I sort of tilted him a bit. He landed on his arm, and then it was just a penalty. And then I went into camp. No one knew anything. I went into camp, and then we were in the bus, and then Steve Kearney hops on the mic and said, hey boys, there's a bit of a thing going on. Dallin's not playing this week. He's been suspended for 1 week. And I was like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, trying to get me from last year. Yeah. You're not going to get me. And then he goes, no, mate, I'm serious. You're not playing. And I sort of broke down. And I was like, what the heck? Yeah. What's going on? And it wasn't even it was just a penalty. There was nothing in it. Yeah. I couldn't believe it. They suspended me for 1 week. And so I missed that Anzac test. And then at the end of the year, we were going on tour, and my lung collapsed in round 18. So they put me out of that. And then I was like, oh, fire out. And then the next year, finally, 2016, the Anzac test came again. And then I went to camp. I literally did not do anything. I trained. I went back to the room. The boys went to the beach, and I went and I said to the coach, look, do you mind if I just sit and watch? Watch the boys swim and that. And then I was coached with someone, and they're like, yeah, don't worry about it. You'll be fine. So I sat there, watched them all swim, and I went back to my room. I was just chilling, and then it finally came before the game, and I was like, oh, this is actually happening. I was getting ready, and I was like, far out, what the heck's going on? And then I remember singing the national anthem, and I sort of teared up a bit. And it was actually because I had been delayed those 3 times. Yeah. To be able to be there, it meant a lot more too, because I hadn't had those opportunities before. So, and then doing the haka, I don't know if you question the haka, yeah, it was they're going back to that meeting where I said I couldn't stand against the haka, to be able to do it against Australia with people like Cameron Smith playing, Greg Inglis. I think Semi Red Raja I came up against, and Greg Inglis was a centre. Yeah. I was just I'm doing a haka against these guys. I watched this all on TV when I was younger. So, they were all pretty surreal moments. I used to have to pinch myself. I'm like, man, is this actually happening, or am I just dreaming? So I've had some pretty good memories. And just talking about it now, sort of, you're getting those feelings again.
Yeah, that's unreal.
Yeah, it was pretty. Yeah, my Kiwis journey to my first game was a pretty funny one, different one.
For sure. And sticking to Kiwis as well, in October, you were then named the captain of the Kiwis, following in the footsteps of your grandfather, who was the first Māori to captain the Kiwis as well. Yeah. So both unreal achievements. Can you tell us a bit about what being named as captain meant to you and also your family? Because it's obviously a pretty proud moment.
Yeah, I think I didn't expect it. We went to that Denver test that we had, and Majid didn't name a captain. And he said to us, he's looking for a captain. And as a 22-year-old, all of us, the young boys, were just went in one year out the other. That's not for us. That's for the older boys. And then during that that tour to Denver, he pulled me aside and he goes, "Hey mate, like sort of like what you're about, like would you mind being in the leadership group?" And I was like, "Oh, like I'd never been in one before." And I was like, "Oh yeah, like I'll be interested to learn a few leadership skills and get to mix it with like the older boys and sort of learn off them as well in a leadership sense." And then then we went away from that. We had a good game against England. We didn't get the treats, but we sort of, I think that was that Madge's, that was Madge's first game, I think. And then we came back, and then like you said, he rang me just before our tour, and he said, "Hey mate, like you're still keen on being in the leadership group?" And I said, yeah, like I said before, I was like, it'd be cool to learn some things and learn off the older boys. And then he said, no, like he goes, what do you think about leading that leadership group? And I was like, oh, what do you mean? Like being a spokesperson, like just having to, like, when we come up with our things, then I just relate to the team, or I'm the person that sort of gives what the leadership group came up with. And then he's like, no, like I want you to captain this tour. And I went, my wife was in the car, and then I was like, I looked at her and I was like, did he just say what I think he said? And I actually said no. I said, oh, look, Madge, like I appreciate that so much, but I know there's a lot of older boys that have been there, done that, and that look like they actually really want this, like they might want this kind of thing, or they really might, like they do want that. And I said, I don't think it will sit right with the team, like because I'm so young too. And he goes, oh no, he goes, I've spoken to the other boys and they're actually on board with it as well. And then I was like, oh, what the heck? And then he goes, and I was like, I was doing everything to, like, not to say no, but like, I just didn't know like why. And then he explained it to me why. And he goes, and one big thing he gave me was like, don't, just because I've named you doesn't mean you have to change anything. Just keep going about the way you go about games and go about your life. And for me, that was like, I was like pretty like stoked that he was actually watching in the way I do things. And then anyways, I still, like, he gave me a night to think about it. So I rang like people close to me, rang my parents, let them know. My parents, my mum was like straight away, my mum, she's the granddaughter of Grandpa Steve.
Yeah.
So mum's like, yeah, you got to take it. That's yours. And I was like, no, mum. Like, and my dad was on the same wavelength as me. Like, are you ready for this? Like, are you ready for the pressure that comes with it? Mm. And I was thinking to him, like, and I was talking to my dad. I was like, yeah, that's my big thing. Like, and my dad was like, is it going to sit right with the team? You don't want to cause a grievance. Not that he didn't believe. He goes, I can believe you can do it, but like, I just want you to be ready.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, exactly. That's why I was talking to them. And then I rang Gus, and I rang Cameron Serrato, the coach at the time at Panthers, and let them know what do they think. And Gus was like, yeah, you deserve it, mate. Like, go and like be the person you are and captain this team. So I rang him back the next day and I go, look, Madge, I thought about it, and yeah, like if everyone's on, I said to him, if everyone's on board, I said, if one person's not, I don't want to do it. I said, I can't do that if no one wants this. And then he said, no, it's all good. And then when I got into camp, he announced me to the boys, and all the boys are happy. And that just gave me confidence. Like, I didn't care about anything else but the respect of the boys. So when I got the respect of them and all of them were excited, it sort of just, everything else was just like, yeah, sweet, I can do it. And then yeah, like, and for my family, it was huge to be able to put my grandpa's name back where it once was, his last name. It's still to this day is pretty cool.
That's unreal. And you captained the boys to a massive win as well at Mount Smart against Aussie. How was that, bro?
Yeah, that's my first win against Aussie too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was one I'll never forget. But I still, like, that photo get framed, and it'll be up in probably one of my main jerseys that'll be hanging up, and one I can tell my kids about the stories and that, and hopefully my son can do something like that, or live up to it or something. I don't know, but be up to him. But yeah, something my kids can sort of, if I can do it, they can do it.
That's unreal. And then the following season, back to club footy, you were granted a mid-season release to join the Dogs. So how did that opportunity arise, bro? And was it a hard decision to leave the Panthers after playing over 100 games for the club?
Yeah, that was hard. I still look back to it now. Like it was a tough, because I grew up there and still have a lot of mates there that are there. Also like Ivan who gave me my debut was there, and I had a lot of things like going on like in my life, and I think a change was just what I needed. And at the time it was sad, like, but with my family, my wife and kids, and that, it was the best thing for us. And yeah, I went to the Bulldogs, and I got to link up with someone like Will Hopewadi that I liked growing up, and sort of before he went on his mission, I used to go to his talks and that at church and that, and yeah, to link up with him, and then Remus Smith, who's I'm close with, his dad's my manager. So nice. Yeah, I had so pretty close with Remus, and got to link up with them, and yeah, we did well when I first got there, and then the next year probably not so well, and the year after that not so well. So yeah, when I first got there, it was really good, and yeah, but that 2020 is still probably to this day is probably the worst season I've ever had.
And then your next release was to join the Mighty Warriors, and us fans were certainly stoked about that. So how did that opportunity arise, bro? And what attracted you to the Warriors?
At the Doggies. So the Doggies didn't saw different path with me there. So they shot me around, and then I sort of got an idea of where I wanted to go, and I had a few clubs I had to choose from. And then the Warriors didn't come up in the conversations, but they came in towards the end when I was making my decision, and sort of just like straight away, because as a kid in Aussie, you'd never think you can play for the Warriors because you got to move back there and live.
Yeah.
And like, because I've always been in Sydney, I was like, never thought of like, I can move back to NZ and play for the Warriors. So, and then when they came and they were interested, and it's the first time they've ever been interested. And I was like, holy crap, like, yeah, like I want to go. Like I went and see my dad. My dad's been a diehard Warriors fan since '95. So
that's unreal.
So as soon as I said, oh, Dad, like the Warriors just came to the table and want me there, and they're about to send an offer through. And my dad was like, yep, you got to go there, son. Go there now. And then my mum was like, no, he can't go because he's going to be away from us.
Yeah.
And my mum likes to hold on to us kids and can't let us go. So then that came, and I wanted to take my wife and kids back to NZ and sort of experience where I'm from. I want my kids to learn Māori. I want my wife, we're actually going to learn Māori. My wife's going to learn it too with me. So
unreal.
So yeah, like that's one thing I really wanted to come back home, is let my kids and my wife get in touch with a place where I'm from and my heritage. So yeah, it was pretty much like as soon as they came, I said, I told the manager, like, I want to go there. Like that's where I want to be. And for me, I wanted to be a place where I was happy, because when I'm happy, I play better.
Yeah.
And I'm here now and enjoying my footy. At the moment, I'm a bit scratchy at the moment, but yeah, just I'm getting back and sort of loving my footy, and we're trying to do something special this year.
We're stoked to have you, bro. And then you went on to make your club debut, and then since then you've been a regular starter on the wing for us. So what have you enjoyed the most about your time at the club so far, and how do you think the Warriors environment's different to your previous setup?
I think the boys, every club, like, I've always got along with the boys. That's never been an issue. But I think there's a lot of poly boys here too that sort of made the transition a lot easier for me, because we were brought up the same and did the same things. And even like I knew a lot of boys from like Wade Egan. I played with him at Panthers, and so like the group of boys, like, it's just a good mixture. And also, like, we have some things that keep us connected to home throughout the Māori heritage and things back home. And like, when I got a taste of that, I knew straight away this is why I signed here, because we've done a few things this year through on the cultural side of things, where we've been able to tap into into our Māori heritage, and then just sitting back there and hearing it all, and it just like reassures me why I signed here is for that reason, to just get a taste of home and try and ignite something in me and see what I can do. Yeah.
Unreal. And having captained the Kiwis and played over 150 NRL games, I'd imagine you're considered a leader in the team, especially in the back line. So how have you found working with the young outside backs we have at the Warriors this year? And is leadership a role you enjoy within the team?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still learning myself. Like, yeah, I've been around a while, but I'm still learning my trade and learning new things. Especially young boys coming through, they're the next crop of kids coming through, and they sort of can teach you a lot as well. But on vice versa, like, I'm not one to go out and say, hey, like, we need to do this, we need to do that. But I like to be approachable for the young kids to be able to come to me and then like, hey, what would you do here? Or what can I do here? And then I can help them. Like, I've never been one to sort of like tell someone how to play, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I sort of, I don't know. It's not like you go out there like leaders are going to tell people like this is how you should play, this is how you should play. But I just I like to be approachable. So if they ever need help, they know they can come to me. And I do get the opportunities to be able to teach the boys something, or especially we've got some young centers. So sort of trying to work out what their strengths are and weaknesses and working alongside them. I think that's one that's not challenging, but something we can sort of we're just scraping the surface right now, and hopefully we can keep working together. And for a winger, your center's everything. So I like to work closely with my center, and like I said at the start, Dean Friday, like he was ridiculous. So I like to work closely with them because whether you like it or not, they're the ones that make you look good and scoring those tries in the corner and that. And it helps having Walshy there too. So Walshy, playing outside Sean and Walshy, you get a lot of space. And like I said at the start of the podcast, you get to just finish off some things that they create.
And injuries are unfortunately a part of the game. And a couple of weeks back against the Storm, you had a pretty nasty head knock after an accidental knee from Big Nelson. How hard is it to bounce back from an injury like that, bro? Because you were named in the team only 2 weeks later.
Yeah, so it wasn't too bad. Like, it looked bad. Like, my wife was real scared. I got the talk when I got home. I don't think you should be playing for a couple of weeks. I'm like, babe, I'm fine. Like, I'll be good. Like, I passed my head assessments. I knew exactly, like, as soon as I came to, like, they asked me what the date was, knew the date, knew the time, knew who we were playing, knew where I was. Like, and they were pretty shocked. And then the next morning I passed my HIA, and they're like, oh, fire. Like, it wasn't too bad. But I mean, and then I had to do all these other things, these protocols and that. So they definitely gave me they wanted me to have the week off just because of how nasty it was. But yeah, I think the hardest thing was I broke my thumb at the start of the year, and then I came back and just trying to string games together was my hardest thing. So I've played 2 now, so this was my 3rd game. I think this is my longest stint this year, 3 games in a row. So hopefully I can finish the season off injury free, touch wood, and we can do something special.
Sure, fingers crossed. And later this year, the team will play their first game back in NZ for over 3 years. Are you excited to get to Mount Smart and play your first home game there for the Warriors?
Yeah, I'm excited as the boys. So the boys that have played there before for the Warriors, they talk about it. And I've played against the Warriors there, and you can hear the crowd going, but you don't really notice it because you're the away team. But yeah, the boys said it's unbelievable, like just the way the crowd is, the way they cheer, and the sort of the second wind you get. So you're hearing the boys talk about that, and the club telling us how big our fan base is back home. And I think, is the game sold out already?
Yeah, it's pretty close to, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's getting pretty close, and I'm really excited.
Can't wait to have you back. And away from the field, yourself and your brother Malachi, you've formed a successful business, recently opening your first retail store. So congrats on that, bro. Has business always been a passion of yours? And what led you into like the watch game?
So it's actually my brother was researching it one night because we used to travel to training together at Penrith, and then you hop in the car in the morning, and then you start talking. I'm like, "Right, you brush your breath this morning?" He researched it, and he actually said, "Oh, bro, you can actually do this." And I was like, "Oh, that's mad!" Like, and then he's basically does it all. Like, I'm sort of just help like put it out there, and
Yeah.
we actually, the more you win, the more the people come onto the site and visit it and that. So
Crazy.
didn't do too well when I was at the Bulldogs. but yeah, the business is going well. He opened up the shop probably 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
And it's doing really well. So it's been going for 4 years almost, I think. And yeah, he's doing really well, and yeah, real proud of him, and the sort of life after footy he's created for himself too is good. I said he might have to open up another shop, so when I finish up, I can do that one. But yeah, no, he's it's doing well, and yeah, he's just grateful that he was able to retire and transition into something like that.
And on to last week's game quickly, a real game of two halves with South starting strong and then the boys coming back flying in the second half to go down by 2 points. What do you think brought on the momentum shift in the second 40, bro? Because I feel like there was another 5 minutes, the boys probably would have got the win.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I feel if there was another minute, I reckon we were that set where we kicked for the field goal. I think we go down there. I think we're scoring there. We just had a lot of momentum. I've been in games. I was at Penrith one time. We're playing the Warriors, and we went in the halftime 28-0, and we came back and won. And it had the same feeling.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we only that run didn't start till so we played it. I think 10, 15 minutes, or was it the last 17 minutes that we started piling on the points? And I think it just gives you a lot of confidence that if you can do it in 17 minutes, imagine what you can do in 80. So
yeah.
So I think although we didn't get the 2 points, we learned a lot from that game, and sort of just belief in ourselves, and in what we can actually do if we play to our potential. And I don't think this year we've played a full 80 minutes to our potential. So, yeah, for me, that's a real good sign that if we can play like that second half, then we're going to be, we can mix it with the top teams.
Unreal. And taking on the Dragons this weekend, the second time facing them this year, what do you think will be the key focuses heading into this week to come away with the win?
So we just had our first training session today, went over a little bit of the game, and then we touched on the Dragons. So yeah, I think the big one is showed throughout. I think everyone will be able to see. We just got to focus on ourselves and get us right, and the rest will look after itself. Like once we're down there, we can score points. Like the points are in us through the players we got too. Like you got boys that can just break open games. So I think if we just focus on ourselves and grind teams down, then we're going to be fine. We just need focus on ourselves will be a big one, and we'll be fine.
Let's rip into some quick fire stuff to finish, bro. A bit more casual. What are your favorite things to do outside of footy?
Favorite things to do? Probably, I love to spend time with my kids, my wife. Other than that, I love a bit of gaming. I play at the start of every week a couple games on the computer and that. So that's probably one thing I do away from footy that I really enjoy too.
And who's the biggest joker or pest in the team?
Probably Jazz.
Yeah, that's Jazz a name that comes up all the time.
Him and his dry jokes.
No good, eh?
Yeah, he's a prankster too, so yeah.
Favorite sport outside of footy?
Favorite sport outside of footy? I don't know. Don't really watch too much. I'll watch here and there, probably a bit of NFL or basketball games, not full games and that, but yeah, just my time gets taken up with my wife and kids, so don't have much time to do things.
Yeah, fair. And run it straight challenge. Who's the one warrior you'd least like to run it at?
the one warrior, probably Adam, Logie.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably those two.
Those are always the common two, eh?
Yeah.
The big fellas.
Yeah.
And a couple listener questions that have come through as well. Do you have a most memorable try or try assist?
Memorable try assist. Yeah, probably my first year, the try assist in the first semi against Roosters. Everyone read us off and ball was grubbering, and I flicked it behind back to Dean Fodder, and Dean Fodder scored to level up the game. That was pretty cool.
Unreal. And how special was it to be able to play with your brother at Penrith?
Yeah, it was really to be able to play in his debut was felt like my debut again. It's still one of the highlights of my career. So yeah, like to play NRL is hard, but let alone alongside your brother, center, he was wing is really hard. So yeah, that was it's a special moment, not only for me but for him and our family.
That's unreal. And the last one from Isaac Brown, and he says, "What's the first thing you're doing when you get back to Aotearoa?"
The first thing I do, I want to get a steak and cheese pie.
Yeah.
Go to a bakery, get a steak and cheese pie and a cream bun. Yeah.
That's pies are no good over there,
yeah.
eh?
Nah. Like everyone raves on about the pies over here. But I was like, man, like I always say to everyone, you haven't had a pie till you've gone to New Zealand. Trust me.
100%.
There's a pie. I would love a pie,
eh? I can see it in your face, bro.
My mouth's watering just thinking about steak and cheese pie.
That's unreal. Well, that's all I've got, bro. So thanks for taking the time to jump on and have a chat about your career so far. All the best for this weekend and up the Warriors.
To you. Thanks, brother. Legend.
Bro.